All right, guys, so this is going to be the newest addition to the shop, and I know what you're thinking. Where are you even going to put that? You have no space. And that is true. I really don't have any space. I got a mess again. My space is incredibly limited in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to get rid of this whole setup, and I'm going to build this guy and then modify it so that I can use it for a lot more than just what it is. Now, Harbor Freight had a sale. It was like $150, and I just I had to bite the bullet and buy it because I really need a bigger flat top area to work in. For all of my videos you've seen, I've been working here, and this really is just a big old piece of steel that's sitting on a 2x4 with some magnets on it and a vise. It's very flimsy. It's not straight. It's not level. It's not anything. It's falling apart. And so in the previous videos, you've seen me try to twist steel, and really this whole setup moves. I threw some weights down there for added weight, but I never really built anything sturdy because when I first built this, I was moving into this house, and I was quickly trying to set up so that I could start working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this. We're going to build that, and we're going to modify it. And we're going to be adding that vise back to that one. I might buy a new vise, but this one still has life, so I'll probably just use that and switch it out whenever I decide it no longer has life. And that thing is super flimsy, so we are going to make it a lot stronger. We're going to add shelves. We're going to add all kinds of stuff to it. So stay tuned for that. For its price, which was $150, and that's on discount. Normal price, it's like $180. Still pretty cheap. And we'll get into why here shortly, why it's so cheap. But I mean, a comparison would be like getting a bigger, more professional fixture table, which I don't need, and it's going to cost me like 4 or 5 times the price of this guy. So I figure for now, it's good enough. And it's going to find its home right here in the center whenever I need it, and whenever not, we're going to put some wheels on it and we'll move it around. Alright guys, so this is pretty much what comes in the bundle, plus a couple of accessories that I don't have on here because we don't need them right now. So it comes with all the hardware and stuff, and it comes with these legs, these pieces that go here, and then the leg attaches to it. Don't know what this nut is for. I still haven't figured it out, and I looked through the instructions. I don't even say to bolt anything to it. I don't know, maybe in case you want to, I don't know, put a sheet on there or something. So it comes with this thing with this bolt that I don't know, and then the leg attaches here like so, and then it comes with these little self-levelers that you can put on the legs, and then just pretty much just control how high you have it. I'm gonna be welding plate steel to these guys and putting on some casters, so I'm not gonna put those on, and we're gonna go ahead and get all the legs assembled and go from there. Alright guys, so the whole table has been built. It is significantly bigger than this guy. I'm going to have a lot more space to work on. It is probably, I think it's the same thickness as this guy. This is a 1/4, and I think this is also a 1/4. So it's definitely a big upgrade from what I have. Got a little bit of scratching from dots that were on this guy, but whatever, I don't care. Alright, so we have this little bottom plate that's like, it serves to hold the legs together, but it's pretty wobbly. So I'm gonna end up cleaning up the paint a little bit and just tacking it together just to make sure it doesn't move around. Overall, pretty solid table. So next thing I'm gonna do is give this guy its last little job, and we're gonna weld the casters onto the leg levelers so we can go on ahead and get those installed. Alright guys, so I've cut some shelves to put it in there, and I bought these self-drilling screws, and we're going to go on ahead and bolt them down to this guy. I have it flipped backwards, so I have a little bit of a lip there. So I'm going to be drilling to that lip, and I'm not really liking the height of the shelf. I feel like there's some wasted potential there. I could definitely lower it a few more inches. So I'm going to do that to strengthen it up with the screws, and after I strengthen it up, I'm gonna actually unclip it, lower it, and I'll get rid of some of that paint and I'll weld it onto there. That way we can lower it and maybe even get a taller shelf in the future. Really depends on what I end up putting down there. I might do that now, or I might do that in the future where I put an extra shelf in there. But for now, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and drill that in there, and we're gonna lower that shelf. Alright guys, so we went on ahead and put on a pegboard as well as when we tap that in. We went on ahead and put this pegboard, and it's just screwed in with some little self-tappers, and it's going to be holding my grinding discs and two little baskets. I seen another YouTuber do that, and I thought that was a pretty cool idea, so I grabbed that. Except mine were a little different, and I didn't really want to weld onto it. I'm trying to not weld onto paint as much as possible. And on this bottom shelf, what's going to go there is my welder. That way my welder is always on my welding table, and because since I grind right here, as you can see, all the dust always goes to my welder, and you know, there's always a mess, and I'm always having to constantly be cleaning it. So hopefully it'll stay a little bit cleaner here. As I said before, I'm very limited on space, so we gotta take advantage of any space we can get. So we're gonna go on ahead and do that. I'm also gonna be putting a bar across here so I can hang my grinders from, and that's also gonna be bolted on or screwed on. And I have the piece outside. I painted it black, and I'll be installing it here shortly once it dries. But so far so good. Next on, we're gonna start moving to our vise. Right now I'm gonna be moving this vise over to this table, and the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna make a basically a little ledge that bolts onto these holes. That way I can put it underneath and it can come out and it'll be a little bit lower. I've seen a lot of other knife makers, no, not knife makers, I've seen a lot of other people who have been pretty much upgrading their tables. They will cut a hole right here, and they will put in a receiver for a hitch. That way they can have their vise here. I'm not really a fan of that. It's a little too high, and also I don't want to cut into my table. So to avoid having that giant hole there and that piece sticking out, possibly taking up space, I'm gonna be doing a little pretty much table that I can bolt on with these 5/8 bolts that are gonna bolt on, and they'll hold the table underneath. I will have the head sticking out, but it's not a big deal. But I'll be able to move it so it won't be in one spot. So let's say it's in my way, I'll put it down there. If I want to use it, I'll bolt it back on over here, and then I use it. For the most part, it's going to be bolted all the time, but I like for it to be removable. And so that's why I'm going to go that route. And we have plenty of 5/8 stock that I used to make my die holder. So we're going to be using that material. We're just going to make basically an L shape like this that goes underneath. And that is the same depth as this guy. That way, whenever we put it and bolt it on, it'll hold on to this, and so it'll be the same size. And then it'll come out, and I'll have holes for my vise. My vise is a 3-bolt vise, so I'm gonna have to come up with something to hold that there. Hopefully, this guy's not too heavy to where it'll cause this guy to tip over. But I don't think it's going to tip over. And also, I'm going to be adding more weight to the bottom and possibly another shelf in the future. So I'm going to try to make this table as heavy as I can. That way I can mitigate that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and get on to doing that. Alright guys, so miraculously it did fit, and that was thanks to that little paper trick. It worked very nicely. So now we have this guy on here and it's nice and solid. So next thing I want to do, I'm gonna have to go take apart that guy and sit it on here so I can trace out where to drill my 3 holes, and then we can mount this bad boy. One thing though, my phone is dying, so I'm not gonna record that part. So, you know, with the magic of editing and whatnot, blah, there it is. Alright guys, so this is our progress so far. We have our welder down there, we got our welding helmet, I got a couple tongs that I never seem to be able to find because I have them tossed around everywhere. I got grinders, and pretty much on the other side we have our pegboard, miscellaneous stuff up there, some more stuff right there. We got pretty much our grinding disc that we use there, and so far so good. It's a nice little table. Very happy with it so far. I'll probably add more things to it in the future, but for now I think that's pretty much where we're at. One final thing I am going to do is start making some tooling for it. So this is pretty much the stuff that came with the table for tooling. We have these guys where you're supposed to use to hold I'm assuming pipe. Let's see if I got any. Oh, I got this big old piece of pipe, but to hold pipe down, and then you clamp it down with some of this. But one thing I'm not really a fan of is this right here. So to be able to use these properly, you pretty much have to have it in there, or in this case like right here, and then you have to go in underneath and kind of bolt it in place like so. That way you can clamp with it, which I guess to a certain degree works fairly well. But for a table like this, ideally you would want to be able to just put it in there and have the angular force hold it, which is what most tables do. This was small, so this isn't too much of an issue. I went on ahead and I bought some 5/8 round bar that fits perfectly in these holes, and we're gonna see if we can make some tooling that'll work just as well. That way we don't have to go through the trouble of having to always be screwing this guy in to be able to hold it in place, and we can just kind of just put it down there. So that's what we're going to go on ahead and give it a try. So we're going to make some tooling, and that's going to involve cutting sections of this rod, and we're going to be taking these guys, which are pretty much the same thing as this, except we're going to cut it and add a piece of this. We're going to weld a piece of this to it, and that way we can drop it in there and use it off based off leverage, just like these guys. But with a long enough piece of this, probably like realistically like 2 inches is more than enough, welded onto there, it should be able to hold. I've seen other makers do this. Other people have been modifying these tables, and that's a quicker way. That way we're not having to always be coming down here and having to go through all this trouble to do this. Alright guys, so I have them made. They actually work pretty well. These guys on the other hand, I didn't really like this attachment. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because of these round things. I know they have this kind of texturing on so that the aluminum kind of binds to it. But whenever I use them like this, they don't really tighten very well. They kind of just ride up. Versus these guys actually do tighten pretty well. So I'm liking these a lot more. These guys, they work, but they work if they're like bolted on like this one is bolted on. Then it works pretty well. So I'll probably just keep these bolted on instead of with this setup I have here. And whenever I need something else, I can just make some of these and modify them. I think I got these on discount. They're like $3 a pop or something. So they're pretty affordable and super easy to make. I also bought a lot of this steel. I gotta clean this guy up. So weld spots, don't let it go down. But I got a lot of this steel, so I'm gonna be making a lot more things that I can you know, use these holes for. But other than that, the table came out nice. Very happy with this. I can move it around. Doesn't really take up a lot of space on top. And if I need to, I'll just rip it off and just take it off and put it down there. I have some space there. I'm gonna buy some tools to put there. And overall, I was surprised. A lot of people were worried about having the vise right there because of the weight and how you can't really do anything to it. But this guy is pretty heavy. I'm a big guy and I'm putting a lot of weight on this guy. And you know, the table isn't tipping over, so this is a perfectly good spot for it. I can't even pick up the table. It's so damn heavy. So that definitely works out well. So overall, this is a nifty little table. I'm gonna have my welder under there. I'm gonna set up my grinders more. I'll probably put another one of these on the other side. I didn't want to originally because I did not want it to be in my way, but the more storage the better, I would say, as long as it's high up and it's not something I'm dragging in and out. Or I can put it underneath on this side. I don't know, something for the future. And we got our little pegboard, we got our magnet, we got our little stuff right there. I got more of those sticks, but that go into the pegboard, but I don't really have any use for anything else other than those grind discs, so I just have them down there. And I'll sort through that. I just started throwing the stuff I was using in there for now. Other than that, for $150 for the initial investment on the table, the boards I got for free. Pegboard cost me 14 bucks at Home Depot. The little baskets, they ran me I want to say about 20 bucks. Little pegs were, oh man, like $3 a pop. That guy is awesome. The little holder, magnetic holder, that was like $10, and $25 for the steel that I used for the round bar that I used, the 1/2 inch, no, 5/8. That was 25 bucks, but I've used very little of it. And those clamps were like 10 bucks for all four. And overall, oh, and the casters and the steel for the casters. But you can find casters that go on with the thread. I just bought those because I was already there. I didn't feel like ordering them and waiting for them. But those casters were like 5 and change a piece, $6 a piece, 4 of them, $24. Plus the steel was probably like another 10 bucks or so for the plate. And overall, relatively inexpensive for what it is and for the amount of work that I'll be able to do with it, because this is going to open the possibility for me to do a lot more making certain pieces that I couldn't make before, just because of the amount of space I have now to work on, versus when like I welded up the forge legs and stuff. I struggled a lot because I didn't have anywhere to forge, so I was welding on the floor. So this is definitely gonna open up a lot of possibilities. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.